The practice of Jambala, like sadhana, has the same structure. It has the preliminary, and then the main practice, and the conclusion as a formal practice, and also an affiliated practice of offering water to Dzambala statue. So, as it says here, first of all, you always start with the refuge. In the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, I take refuge in enlightenment. So, firstly, it mentions the objects of refuge. The Buddha, the fully enlightened one. Dhamma, the teachings of the enlightened one. Sangha, the noble assembly. So, this triple gem has... Each of them has a what we call relative refuge and ultimate refuge, so the refuge that you take in the Buddha has to be fully enlightened, who embodies 3 kayas, and who endows 5 wisdoms, and who has compassion, omniscience, and power. And that alone is a Buddha. Buddha is not a human being. Some people refer to as a Buddha as a Gautama. No, Buddha is fully enlightened one. As Buddhists should never call Buddha Gautama. Gautama was his name before he was enlightened, his family name. So Buddha should be referred to as a fully enlightened Buddha. Samyak Sambuddha is the actual object of refuge. And Dharma is the teachings of the fully enlightened one. This has scriptural Dharma and the realizational Dharma. So, of course, while we rely on the scripture, we need to gain the realization of the Dharma. The realization Dharma has what we call the relative and ultimate refuge, ultimate Dharma. So that is the truth of cessation and the truth of the path. The truth of the path. By practicing truth of the path of the Dhamma, we achieve truth of the cessation. So it's not so much you take refuge in Dhamma and Dhamma will do this for you. We have to practice the Dhamma. Our actualization of Dharma is the refuge, is the true refuge. We need to mentally constitute our mind. Buddha said that do not do any misdeeds, do all that is wholesome, purify your mind. And this is my teaching, So if you find yourself changing your mind through the teachings of the Dharma that you read and study and listen teachings, and it helps you to change and reconstitute your mind from the greedy to the contented one, from the angry to the loving kindness one, from the ignorant to the one who has the right wisdom, and so on, then you can see actually your mind is being healed and restored and subdued. That is the one who has real refuge. Refuge isn't just verbalizing refuge prayer many times, that you actually mentally come to realize and reconcile with your own self, to not resort to bad actions and afflictions, but to resort to practice good actions and wisdom and compassion. Then you will actually experience the cessation of suffering. So true Dharma is the true cessation of suffering and its causes. And the truth of Sangha, the refuge object of Sangha, also we have the relative refuge object, are conventional Sangha members, but they themselves are not refuge object because they themselves still have karma, and they have afflictions. So therefore, our refuge in the Sangha, our courtesy and respect to the Sangha is just normal human courtesy. It's not because they are ultimate refuge object. No Sangha members are ultimate refuge object. They are companions. They are like the nurses. What real refuge is the Dharma, not Sangha. Sangha is just companion. Sangha is the one who feeds you with a spoon for you to take the medicine. What really makes you to get well is the Dharma. And Sangha is only an assistant and carer. So don't idealize Sanghas to be perfect and free of karma and affliction. And when you find they have flaws, you get disappointed. That's because people never know. They're worshipping robes and they're worshipping status and titles. They are not really taking refuge in Dharma themselves. So Buddhists have to really know taking refuge in the Dharma. And the Buddha is the teacher, the physician, the doctor. Dharma is the actual medicine. The Sangha is the actual helper. And we are ourselves as a patient who is suffering from diseases of selfishness and anger and ill will and judgment and all of that. So when we say I in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, that represents the refuge object. And then I should be just, even though the language is first person singular, we take refuge. Because as a Mahayana Buddhist practice, we should take refuge with all sentient beings. Your father on the right, mother on the left, all sentient beings together, taking refuge. That is a very important. Those who go for refuge is yourself and all friends and foes and strangers alike, all take refuge. Then what is not explicit but implied is the cause for going for refuge. Cause is fear. Fear, faith, and compassion. Fear of samsara on one end, lower realm on another, and fear of selfishness as another, and most importantly, fear of dualistic perception. So there are 4 types of fears. Fears of lower realms, fear of samsara, fear of selfishness, and fear of dualistic perception. So with these 4 fears, you take refuge. And faith is faith in the qualities of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And so we believe in the Buddha, don't we? So you've got to believe in the teachings of Buddha, and that talks about life after death, life before birth, and so on, and karma and their consequences. So we've got to believe in this. Buddhism, people who practice Buddhism has to practice as a Buddhist with beliefs, okay? So there are no Buddhists without beliefs. If they are not Buddhist. Simple as that. They can't have half-heartedly. So Buddhists have to have at least refuge in the triple gem, and then believe in the teachings. And so that's the kind of faith. And then you have to take refuge with compassion. Compassion for yourself and for all sentient beings. You're not taking refuge just for yourself. You're taking refuge for the benefit of all sentient beings. So with these 3, fear, faith, and compassion, to the triple gem, the objects of refuge, and then you and all sentient beings, and then go for refuge until enlightenment is reached. So the duration is also not short, not just this life, not just for this life and not for a couple of years. Quite a lot of people come to Buddhism and they become Buddhists for a while, and then they all of a sudden go with other religions, and then they're not taking refuge in Buddhism. They're just taking refuge with who they meet. They meet someone, and then when that person is in Dharma, they are with the Dharma. When that person goes or they lose the person, then there's no refuge. Not that kind of people who are checking, who are just shopping, spiritual shopping, what do you call supermarket. That's not refuge. Refuge, you must take refuge from now until essence of enlightenment reached. This is Buddhist with beliefs, Enlightenment is not reachable by most people in one lifetime or even few lifetimes. It takes many lifetimes. So that's why till enlightenment reached. This is Mahayana. Mahayana is great scope in terms of duration of time, in terms of various skillful methods. You take refuge. So and this is not taking refuge in some worldly gods or some cultural gods or some mountain gods or tree gods or tribal gods. These are not God. They are in samsara. They cannot save us, guide us. They may have some positive energy sometimes if they're pleased, but otherwise they are very, very complicated. They can't help others. They themselves are in trouble. So you only take refuge in those who are enlightened. So with this motivation in mind, I take refuge to enlightenment. To take refuge in the triple gem till enlightenment. What is this taking refuge for? Purpose of which we are taking refuge is for by virtue of doing, giving, and the like. So this is purpose for going for refuge. It's not for ourselves. To reach enlightenment for the benefit of others. So that's the purpose. So object is triple gem. The subject is oneself and all sentient beings. The cause is fear, faith, and compassion. Duration and until enlightenment reach. Purpose is for the sake of all sentient beings. We're going to practice generosity and discipline and so on. So whatever small merit there may be from doing this, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So that 4-line prayer is also composed by Atisha. Atisha means incomparable one. Atisha is not his name. His name is actually Dipankara Srijana. Dipankara Srijana is actual name, but Atisha was given as a kind of honorific title. Atisha means the incomparable one, yeah, one who is not comparable. So he's very, very special. He wrote this verse, which combines first 2 lines of refuge and second 2 lines of bodhichitta prayer. So this is the very common short refuge and bodhichitta prayer. So you recite that 3 times with your hand joined together, seated in meditation posture, at least 2-3 times. And then you specifically do the generation of bodhicitta. For the sake of all sentient beings, I must reach perfect enlightenment. So this is generating bodhicitta. To reach enlightenment, I must reach enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So this is Buddhist with beliefs, okay? This is not Buddhist for just for this life and this world type of thing, you know? No such Buddhism. Buddhism practicing for the benefit of all sentient beings and till enlightenment reached. These are the very specific traditional teachings are like this. I must reach perfect enlightenment. Because without reaching perfect enlightenment, we could not really help other living beings, because we are always flowed by many karma and afflictions, and you would not be surprised how afflicted everyone is. And so therefore, when you really have understanding of Buddhist with beliefs, you have a lot of tolerance to those sentient beings who have flaws, who have problems, who have karma. So these are real Buddhists. Real Buddhists understand Buddhism and believe in them, you know. Not cut and pick and choose and, you know, take some and leave some, that kind of Buddhist without beliefs, you know. There is no Buddhist without beliefs. I don't know, we don't have them in Asia, we don't have them in Tibet, we don't have in Sri Lanka. I don't know, where does the Buddhist without beliefs come from? This is just totally like new phenomena. I've never seen a bird with 1 wing, you know. It's this bird with the 1 wing we never heard, you know. They always collapse and couldn't fly anywhere because they are a bird without wings, you know. Yeah, so Buddhists without beliefs are bird with only 1 wings. So these are Buddhists with wings, bird with 2 wings. Take refuge, generate bodhicitta, not do for this life, not just for me, not just for the body, not like that. One doing for the sake of others, one doing for future lives, one doing for the benefit of mind stream. So these are all very exclusively mentioned here. For that purpose, I'll do the meditation and recitation of Yellow Jambhala. See, it doesn't say I'm going to do Yellow Jambhala so that I can have wealth, you know. It is not the purpose. The main purpose of Dzambala is not wealth. It is to attain Buddhahood. If you attain Buddhahood, that's the wealth of wealth. Look at the enlightenment of the Buddha. How much benefit it has given, boosted everybody's confidence, compassion, generosity, tolerance. These are real wealth. So that's why Vajrayana teaching sometimes makes people think, oh, Dzambala is for wealth, and then people think they're interested in wealth. Of course, if you think that kind of wealth, that will also... There are many millionaires, many billionaires, many people with amazing degrees, many people with so many houses and cars and airplanes. The wealth is never going to give you enlightenment. Buddha himself found the wealth to be the most most biggest challenging cause of his obstacle for anyone to practice. Most people are not able to practice Dharma. They are not able to sit under the tree to do retreat because they're too attached to comfort and material wealth. These things they cannot practice. That's why they are Buddhists without beliefs, because they can't have Buddhists without patience, Buddhists without tolerance, Buddhists without devotion, pure perception. That's the problem. So here we're going to address those teachings, that for the sake of all sentient beings I must reach perfect life. For that purpose I will do the meditation recitation of Yellow Jambhala. The meditation means you have to keep your mind focused attentively and intentionally with a very strong sense of mindfulness, of one-pointed concentration, Yellow Jambhala. And you're going to do the meditation and the recitation. Recitation is the description of the deity, the sadhana, the practice, and the mantra, all of that, yeah? And you repeat that, this specific wishing bodhichitta and engaging bodhichitta. The first two lines is express wishing bodhichitta. The third and fourth line express engaging bodhichitta. So you are renewing your bodhichitta vows. You are renewing your refuge vows. These are all Buddhists with belief practices. Refuge and bodhicitta, believing in them, believing for the benefit of others, believing in future lives, believing in the practice of non-violence, believing in Buddha as a fully enlightened one, believing in the authenticity of the unbroken transmission of lineage. These are all Buddhists with beliefs. So that's the refuge and bodhicitta. Then next is the four immeasurables. The four immeasurables are, may all living beings have happiness and cause of happiness. That's immeasurable loving kindness. Because we say immeasurable because we're doing this for the sake of all living beings, not just one or two, not just for a few in the front, few on the left, few on the right, and not like that, Mahayana is for all sentient beings, all sentient beings, not small or big or the vertebrate or invertebrate or humans or non-humans, all sentient beings, may they be well and happy. We really have loving kindness towards them. Because sentient beings are limitless, so therefore your loving kindness is limitless. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. That's immeasurable compassion. The more you know about any sentient beings, more you get to know them, more you get to know their suffering, and the more you feel compassion to them. So therefore, you do not find your own suffering overwhelming at all, because you're thinking of the suffering of all other sentient beings. When you're able to think of all other sentient beings, your mind is very, very vast, very, very immeasurable. And because of that, you are not small-minded, poor me, poor me, poor me. You're not like that. Because that's before you took refuge, you used to think like that. But after you discover true Dharma, you have left. I go for refuge means you have left. You have gone means you have left. You're no longer thinking that. You have completely changed. I'm gone. I'm done. You can say that too. I'm done as a Buddhist without belief. I'm now with Buddhists with beliefs. And so therefore I believe in compassion to all sentient beings, particularly those difficult sentient beings, and let alone the compassion, the people who are kind to me, and of course, but even those who are very, very difficult sentient beings, I must take refuge. I must practice compassion. So you practice compassion to all sentient beings, so that they want to be free from suffering, but they don't know how the suffering is caused by their own selfishness and ill will and resentment. They don't know that. They don't want suffering, but they create their own suffering unconsciously. So that we are praying, may they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. Look at all these people. They are throwing bombs and they're throwing rockets and blowing buildings. And they don't want suffering, but they don't know what the cause of suffering is. Their own aggression and their own retaliation. And then the other one becomes just like that. So they're mutually harming each other. All these blind people, tit for tat, an eye for an eye. And then that is the saddest thing of the world, is they don't know, they don't want to have suffering, but they just create just that. They resort to violence. So you must tearfully meditate on compassion when you say this, and try to make it really that arouses feeling of sadness, and a good sadness. Sadness not due to selfishness, selfish due to selflessness. And may they never part from happiness that knows no suffering. That's an immeasurable compassion. They want to have a happiness, but they don't have a happiness that does not turn into suffering, because this happiness is totally sensorial. Their happiness is not made out of contentment and kindness and knowledge and wisdom and forgiveness, and their happiness comes from truth. Then they have a happiness that will not turn into suffering. So that's joyfulness. Fourth is may they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment to the near ones and aversion to the other ones. So this is the equanimity, immeasurable equanimity. So where we don't take sides against or side for, but we see the futility of taking sides. Even if our own loved ones, children, if they do not listen to you, or you can't positive influence them, don't get too much attached to them. Even without attachment, we should let go. If that's no, becoming too attached to them only cause hurt and pain, and you let them be, let them grow and learn from their own kind of endeavor. Maybe you can't do much, so you have to develop equanimity. Equanimity doesn't mean irresponsibility. Equanimity means try to balance your involvement, whether to bias to them or against them. So have a reasonable balance, equanimous compassion, not out of aversion, not out of attachment, but devoid of both of these, called equanimous compassion. So these four immeasurables are also very, very universal. If the meditation on just refuge and bodhichitta 3 times each, 4 immeasurables, that alone is amazingly, fundamentally very rich Buddhist meditation practices. These are all Buddhists with practice, Buddhists with belief practices, okay? So that concludes the preliminary of the Dzambala sadhana. As with every other sadhana you do, you will always have to do this, yeah? So some of you may not have heard teachings on the sadhana and any sadhana, so that's very, very important. This is incredibly important. Even your knowledge of the actual sadhana of the deity concerned is not so adequate, but just focus on these 3. The refuge, bodhicitta, for immeasurable. These 3 are the causes of accumulating merit. Why we accumulate merit? Merit is not kind of an esoteric thing. Merit means positive energy. You need positive energy that are good energy for you when you believe in the Buddha, when you really know how true the Dharma is. You really truly value your Sangha friends and be kind to each other, be forgiving to each other. You realize how positively it teaches you many things. And then you practice loving kindness to each other, compassion to each other, happy for each other, and not becoming too involved to each other. Have a reasonable distance as much as reasonable closeness. That's kind of equanimity. These are very important. Sometimes the mothers are so loving, but so panicking, so worried about their only child, their view, who they go to, go with, and what they do. All get completely so concerned and over-concerned with the children. The children doesn't like anything. So that's kind of attachment to the... Attachment is not love, Attachment is not love. They don't feel loved. They feel controlled. So have kind of a equanimous, have some kind of equanimity. Give some space between you and them. And are you sure what you're doing is helping them or interfering with them? It's quite a lot of parents are like this, so obsessed and possessed with someone and something each other. That's the cause of suffering. So there are attachments, cause of suffering, aversion, cause of suffering. Equanimous is cause of equanimity. It makes you to know how to adopt a middle way ground. So these are very, very important. It's the preliminaries. Preliminaries is like the foundation of the building. If you don't have a good foundation built for the 5-story, 6-story, you can't build even 1 story. So you need a good foundation. That's that. And so now the main meditation of Dzambala starts with reciting start with the visualizing in the center of Haya of a multicolored lotus flower. Multicolored lotus flower means a flower that usually have 8 petals, and the yellow and the red and green and blue are kind of alternated in the flower, and one inside the other. And because usually blue is inside, red is inside the blue, orange is inside the green, and so when the 4 colors are alternated, then it becomes called multicolored flower. Multicolor. In any case, the 8-petal lotus flower represents relative bodhicitta, lotus flower, and then on top of that you visualize a moon disk. Yeah, moon disk represents ultimate bodhicitta, and at the center of this moon disk is a gold colored. Gold means burnish yellow gold color syllable Dzam. Dzam is the seed syllable. The seed syllable of Jambala is Dzam, because the initial is Ja. Initial is Ja, and so so Ja means Ja is J, okay, not DZ, okay. Some people think DZ is Sanskrit. There is no such a DZ in Sanskrit. Just J by itself. It is in Tibetan they have Ja and Za, and so they interchangeably make mistakes. So there is no DZ in Sanskrit. There is only Ja. So JA is as the initial of Jambala. Okay, so the seed syllable is Jam, because consonant is Ja and the vowel is So therefore Jam, Jam. Yeah, seed syllable Jam, which is standing upright, golden color. Light rays issuing from these to permeate the interior and exterior of your body. Imagine the syllable Jam, radiant rays of light, and it illuminates your body as well as light radiates from your body. They purify all the negative deeds and the obscurations accumulated since the beginner's time, and dissolve and ripen the result. One's body becomes then transformed into emptiness. So that's in this case how this is the dissolution of your ordinary gross body when you recite the Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddha Ahang. So that mantra literally start with Om. All mantras start with Om, which means homage. Of course, here is the homage to the emptiness. And then Swabhava means by nature. Swa means by its conduct, by its own conduct or by its own nature. Shuddha means pure. So by its own nature, pure. What is pure? Sarva Dharma. Sarva means all. Dharma means phenomena. All phenomena are by nature pure. Swabhava means by nature. Shuddha is pure. Shuddha, and then the Shuddha, A becomes O, because that's the euphonic combination of Sanskrit vowel A followed by A, and therefore it becomes O. So Ahang, Shuddha Ahang. Ahang means I am. So I too am by nature pure. So homage, all phenomena are by nature pure, means by nature light. I too am pure by nature light. So that's saying that I am light. So that's really amazing. That's a very powerful meditation, that you are not Jason or Judy or Dimitri or Gabriel or whatever it is. You're not. You're just merely labor. You are Ja. You are, therefore, to become Jambala, you have to empty your sense of me. So that's why you dissolve into emptiness, and then your whole physical body, your character, your ills, your sickness, your problem, you have all dissolve into emptiness. Meditation on oneself into emptiness. So stay in that state of indescribable, serene, conscious awareness of the awareness of no self. That's a very important meditation. You should say that, and always, whatever reading on emptiness, whatever teaching on emptiness you've heard, and you couldn't find self either in outside or inside, or that is developed self-arisen, or arisen from the other, or arisen from non-cause, or you can't find any self. So therefore, you are light. Stay in that meditation on emptiness for at least for however minutes you can. People talk about Dzogchen, people talk about Mahamudra. Come on, this is the meditation they are talking about. In Sakya Lamde tradition, we don't use bombastic terminology. We just talk about emptiness, non-differentiation of samsara. So each time you recite the mantra, you're meditating on the ultimate view. So you should enter in the meditative state of emptiness and right view. So if this mantra is fairly long, the shortest mantra is ah. You just say ah. Everything is really nothing whatsoever from its own side, other than the merely conceptually labeled. With that in mind, then you rest in that state of emptiness for a while. And this is called accumulation of wisdom. So now you have accumulated merit by meditating on the refuge, bodhichitta, and four immeasurables. Now you have meditated on emptiness. That's accumulation of wisdom. Now these two accumulation of merit on one end and wisdom on another removes the two hindrances, two obscurations. Afflictive obscuration and cognitive obscuration. These two are allayed. As a result of that, now you are entitled to be the enlightened form of Jambala. So how does Jambala appear? From the state of emptiness, from the state of emptiness of you. There's no you, and in the emptiness of you, the complete transformation of the syllable Jam. Syllable Jam, rays of light issue out, absorb back instantaneously. It reappears, gives rise to oneself in the form of Yellow Jambhala. Now, this is Jambhala. Jambhala, you have one face and two hands. Your first right hand is holding a Bijapuraka. Bijapuraka is a kind of a fig, kind of a fruit, Bijapuraka. And in the left hand is holding a mongoose. Mongoose is an animal, and then imagine that this mongoose causes the rainfall of precious jewels. It is spewing out dollar, money, wealth, knowledge, everything what you want. It just spews out incredible credit card, incredible credit card that is always vomiting money for you. Who causes the rainfall of precious jewels and all the good things you need. So think virtues, think abundance. You got everything. When you have Dharma, anything is possible. One's two legs are pressed upon the treasure, so that Jambala, your leg, right and left leg, is pressing down in a lot like half lotus posture. Mind of conches and cowries, shells, and lotuses. So imagine that you are actually pressing on a treasure under which there are all these kind of things. And one is adorned with a garland of blue Utbala flowers. So you are wearing a garland of Utbala flower. Utbala flower is a blue lily flowers, and precious jewelry. So this is yourself a Yellow Jambhala. And you don't see these kind of statues that are Jambala in color. And all of the statues are golden these days, so even flowers are golden, face is golden, and so on. But in case if the statue is made out of clay or something, then of course you can have this kind of colorful flowers, the blue flowers and so on, and precious jewelry. So that is the meditation of yourself in the form of Samaya Sattva. Samaya Sattva, Samaya means symbolic or, symbolic being. Symbolic being. You are symbolic Jambala, but we have to invoke the Jnana Sattva. Jnana Sattva is the wisdom being. So, on your forehead is Om, so you should visualize white syllable Om at your forehead. That represent all the Buddha's holy body, the Vairochana, the white color. And your throat is A, that represent all the Buddha's speech, the Amitabha, because of that red color, A. And then at your heart is the syllable Hung, represent the mind of all the Buddhas. In the blue color, it's Akshobhya. So Vairochana on the forehead in the form of syllable Om, Amitabha on the form of syllable A as in your throat chakra, and Akshobhya, the blue Buddha, in the form of syllable Hung, and your three chakra centers, forehead and throat and heart chakra. And so in the center of the Yellow Jambhala's syllable Dzam, in the heart is syllable Hung, so syllable Hung, yeah, and syllable Dzam rather, Dzam, Om Ahung plus Dzam, because Dzam is the seed syllable. So from the heart, syllable Dzam, light rays shine from, invoking all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas from the natural abode, means universe, everywhere, because Dharmagaya, Dharmadhatu is everywhere. And so instantly the Yellow Jambhala wisdom being is invoked. And when the wisdom being is invoked, you say Om Vajra Saman Ja, and then is Ja Hung Vam Ho. You have to say the mantra Ja. Ja is means hook, and Hung is rope, and Vam is chain, Ho is bell. So you do those four gestures, Ja Hung Vam Ho. As soon as you do that, and then the wisdom being appears before you. Yeah, wisdom being appears before you. And then when you say Za Hung Bam Ho, it absorbs into you, so that these two, the symbolic being Samaya Sattva and Jnana Sattva, wisdom being there, fuse into one. So now these two has fused. Now next one is for you are going to invoke initiating deities. Once again, light rays shine from the syllable Jam and Hung. Invoke this time 5 initiating deities. 5 initiating deities are 5 Buddhas, along with their retinues. All of them are invoked once again. So Om Banza Samaja. And then you join your hands at the heart and request Om Avishin Chatu Mam Sarvata Tagata, which literally means, please bestow upon me the empowerment of all the Tathagatas. So you are requesting this time, you are a unified form of symbolic and wisdom being Jambala, requesting now to the 5 Buddhas to give the empowerment. And as you made the supplication, the deities then reply to you by saying, Om Vajibhava Avishincha Hung. So means we give you the adamantine nature empowerment. Vajribhava means adamantine nature, means indestructible nature. Avishincha means imparting the empowerment and to you. So Om at the beginning, Hung at the end, and in the middle all the mantras. So with that in mind, rings the bell, and then imagine that he bestowed the empowerment to you. Imagine he pours water over your head, and the water completely fills your body and purify all the impurities. The overflowing water top of your crown now turns into water overflowing from your crown, become a Ratna Sambhava. Ratna Sambhava is the lord of the family of Jambala. Every Vajrayana sadhana deity has belonged to one of the 5 Buddha families. So here Ratna Sambhava is the lord of the family. And Ratna Sambhava is yellow in color, whose right hand is giving gesture on your right knee, left hand in meditation posture. And then your crown is now adorned by a tiny thumb-sized Ratna Sambhava, seals the blessings that you have received. What are the blessings? Blessings is the quality of Dzambala, contentment. How do you know your Dzambala practice is helping you? You have much more gratitude and contentment that you don't have this great need or greed anymore. You have this amazing sense of contentment and simplicity and gratitude. And you're very generous. Not only you are generous, but other people's generosity. You remember, you realize everything you have, from the socks, from the sweaters, from the beanies, from the jackets, from the shawls, all the furniture, all made by other people for you. All other people made this for you. Your floor, your carpet, your ceiling, your roof, your road, everything that you have, you own, even the land, everything is given to you by somebody. And so you feel profoundly grateful. See, this is the mongoose that is now spewing wealth, that you are just sitting there rejoicing. All the things you are and you have are more than enough, and they're all gift to other people. And you don't feel poor me anymore. You feel, I have everything. If I have Dharma, it's more than enough. So you have this incredible sense of contentment. So that's the empowerment. So thinking I don't have this, nobody loves me, I'm poor, I'm sick, I don't have this, he's not giving this to me, I wish I was wealthier, I wish I had, those are the impurities that the water washed away. So what is impurity referred to is, this impurity is not physical. This impurity is not physical or biological. These are impurity of wrong views. These are impurity of people who don't have belief, the doubts, the fear, the worry, the anxiety, the disturbing emotions. All these things are purified. See, it says purify all impurities. And the exceeding water means overflowing water from your crown. It becomes five Tathagatas. Actually, it says all the five Tathagatas there, and in the top one is a Ratnasambhava. So even when you think of one Tathagata Ratnasambhava, you think he's embodied all the five, or you can visualize all the four are surrounding him, and the Ratnasambhava seated on top of your crown. You should, the more the merrier, I suppose. So most Buddhist people wear the five crowns. Each of the five crowns represent one of the five Tathagatas. So basically, even though it's only Ratnasambhava, you should think he embodies all the five, or vice versa. So with this in mind, now you have been enthroned and empowered. You become Yellow Jambhala. Now it's a matter of you just reciting the mantra. You recite the mantra recitation, focusing one's mind on the syllable Jam. So your seed syllable Jam is standing upright on a lotus and a moon disc, and it is circled by the mantra Om Dzambala Jalendraya Swaha, is going clockwise, and the rays of light radiating. Energy makes you feel rich and wealthy and contented and thankful. You shouldn't think of waiting, as a Dzambala practitioner, waiting for money or generosity for other people to come. As a result of you practice Dzambala, you already realize you already have so much that you got already by people. You just have to now have the rainfall of rejoicing and gratefulness. That is the practice. Okay, so with this in mind, you then recite the mantra. It says that the mantra rosary is spinning in your heart, and your whole body is completely covered and showered with all the wealth and riches, material, spiritual, everything is all there, and they are all coming out from each of hair pores and so on. Your body is the source of treasure. Imagine that as a result of that, you have power to alleviate, means to remove the hunger and thirst and poverty and destitution between sentient beings are all alleviated. So with this amount, you just stay in that very conscious of seeing what you're visualizing, knowing what you have to do, and then witnessing the gratifying benefit of that, and then with that undivided attention and without distraction, you should recite the mantra Om Dzambala Dzalendra So, Om Dzambala Dzalendra So, Om Dzambala Dzalendra So, as many as possible, like one round of mala or something like that. And so that's really the duration of your sadhana. Now, if you wanted to conclude, then do the dissolution. And dissolution means, of course, this through the dissolution means that you can do the dissolution by thinking. It's not written explicitly, but actually, when they say they do the dissolution, means you should learn from the teacher how to do the dissolution. And some sadhana is very brief. The author here, like Ngorchen Konchog Lhundrub, just says that. He doesn't give you the data. It's not incomplete sadhana, as some people. There's no incomplete. You just have to know. If you haven't received any teachings on the sadhana before, then you think something is missing. But if you receive teaching, there's a lot of things, that bits and pieces are missing. For instance, in the beginning of sadhana, Ngorchen Konchog Lhundrub doesn't even give the refuge and bodhichitta. He says, do refuge and bodhichitta. That's it. But I put the actual refuge text and bodhichitta and for immeasurable. Otherwise, his actual Tibetan is a very two small folios. He says, do refuge bodhichitta as usual. He says that. And here at the end of the sadhana, he says, then he says, okay, then do the dissolution. Okay, how do you do the dissolution? You visualize from the sit there at the end, as you are now thinking yourself as a Dzambala. You think of Dzambala is clear and empty, but not tangible, near. Like that, all phenomena are also empty. And so saying, imagine all the universe slowly dissolves and absorb into your lotus flower at the end of the bottom of you. The lotus dissolve into moon dissolve into you. Your hands, your head, your leg, and everything dissolve into mantra rosaries, and then mantra rosary into syllable dzam, and syllable dzam first dissolve lower part of the dzam to the upper to the crescent to the droplet to the tail, and tail vanishes. So that's the kind of standard Vajrayana dissolution of the deity in 5 stages. And then, of course, you reappear. It says here in the text, in the sadhana text, it says, lotus seat and mundus dissolve into oneself. So this is, some people's, I think this is the intention of author as well. He doesn't say you should dissolve into emptiness. And usually people do this with Dzambala and wealth deity practice. They don't dissolve into emptiness at all. So it is good to hold it on. I have a concern about that. That you have now become Dzambala. You should really be hold there and not dissolve emptiness. So they don't say that. He says, lotus and mundus dissolve into you, but you remain as a Dzambala for the sake of the auspiciousness of being ever present Dzambala. So because of that, it doesn't say you should dissolve. But you can dissolve, if you wanted to, dissolve as I mentioned before, and then reappear as post-meditation Dzambala without the lotus and mundus. So this is either, those are both fine, yeah? So in this way, you conclude. Then is the dedication of merit. Dedication of merit is, by this merit may I swiftly attain stage of Jambala, place all beings on his state of enlightenment. Means by merit of really doing this sadhana mantra, may I stage Jambala. Means you have always this identity of gratefulness and gratitude and completeness, sense of satisfaction. You have such a sense of satisfaction and gratefulness. Everything and anything you have are all gift already. You have everything what you need. You just need right view and bodhicitta and humility and kindness and tolerance and respect and seeing good in others and never seeking, wanting anything back. That is the real quality of Dzambala. But the merit, you will have such merit. You say, after I do, so you should believe in the Dzambala practice. Recite that and recite at least, do the sadhana, very short, isn't it? Om Dzambala Dzalendra, Om Dzambala Dzalendra, Om Dzambala Dzalendra. So when you repeat this audibly, You should repeat this with patience and sincerity and serenity and stillness, and do the visualization. It will definitely bless you. Mantra is very, very powerful blessings. So with that in mind, you do that. Then subsidiary practice is Dzambala water offering. Dzambala water offering is, Dzambala is, so usually small statue of Dzambala. You can get the Dzambala statues as small as thumb size, any size you want. In Kathmandu is the powerhouse of Tibetan Buddhist produce. All the Tibetan Buddhist artifacts are produced in Nepal and India, and you can buy them Dzambala in any sizes, any sizes. Get one and put in a small bowl. It's those who wish to practice the water offering to Dzambala. So meaning if you wanted to practice Dzambala water offering, it actually says a practitioner should do that every day. Vajrayana should do Dzambala offering to Dzambala. So it says first one should do the 4-stage creation Dzambala. So that's the same as before. 4 stage is firstly symbolic one, then bless the forehead, throat, and heart. Is first one is approaching to become Dzambala. Second is near approach, is forehead, throat, and marked by the Om Ahung. And then the third is accomplishment. That is when you receive, when you invoke the wisdom beings. When you invoke the wisdom beings and absorb into you, that's the accomplishment. Then fourth is receiving the empowerment, that you actually create Dzambala on the ball, out of emptiness, and adorn the 4 Om Ahung, and then invoke the wisdom being, absorb into them, then invoke the 5 Tathagata, request empowerment, get the empowerment. That's the 4 stages. So approaching to become the deity, near approach to become the deity, becoming accomplished as the deity, and the great accomplishment, receiving the empowerment and with the Ratna Sambhava on top of your crown. So that's called the 4 stages. 4 stages. This is how you do. It says a 4-stage creation, generation of Jambala from the seed syllable Dzam as above. One should then offer water while reciting the above mantra Om Dzambala Jalandra Soha. You pour water. Maybe you can have a small jug, especially ritual jug, not just your kitchen jug or anything like. You should have a separate jug that's specially for that kind of ritual. And so you pour water from that while reciting Om Dzambala Jalandraya Soha, Dzambala Jalandraya Soha, it says here 100 times. And then after that, you make that Dzambala, Arya Dzambala Saparivare, Argam, Padam, Pushpe, Dupe, Aloge, Gande, Ned, Shabda, Puja, Ahung. So that's making the 8 offerings, both in mantra, mudra, and dhyana. And then you make this one verse praised. Praise. You, the Lord of wealth, are the owner of the mine of jewels. You are the king of all the wealthy yakshas. Jambala, protector of northern realm, I pay homage to you, the bestower of excellence, wealth. So that's a particular verse, praise to Jambala. And then you say, then you dip your finger, stop pouring water. Jambala has been wet, it's maybe sitting in a bowl. Jambala statue is this much, sometimes the water level comes at least about mouth or nose. So Jambala's top of head is wet, and the rest of the body is completely dipped in the water. And so with this in mind, you leave that Jambala in the water, imagining it as the moisture of the city. One wets one's tongue with the water. So take a little bit of water. After you finish that, bless it. And then from wisdom being, the wisdom being who you have invited to preside over, departs. Imagine, and the symbolic being, the statue, also dissolve. Symbolic being, the statue dissolve into yourself. So that's how you conclude with the giving of the water to Dzambala. So this was written by Sakya Bhikshu. Sakya Bhikshu is the Ngorchen Konchog Lhundrub. He's the 10th abbot of Ngor monastery, very famous monk. He's the author of of many Sakya texts, mostly all the Hevaja Sadhanas, both written by him, as well as many important books. I mean, Triple Vision and Triple Tantra, all are written by him. He's very famous. Sakya Bhikshu, he's got Bhikshu means monk. Sakya is Sakya lineage. These were written by Sakya Bhikshu, something called Ngorchen Konchog Lhundrub. So this shows that he probably wrote this before he was well known, received the title Ngorchen, perhaps. He mostly his own pens he always called a Sakya Bhikshu, like Dalai Lama calls Sakya Gelong. So Sakya Bhikshu, Konchog Lhundrub. Yeah, Konchog Lhundrub, I know this very well because Konchog and Lhundrub are names from his two teachers of ordination. So Konchog is his teacher, Ngor, abbot of Ngor monastery. Ngorchen Konchog, I think, something. And then Lhundrub is Lower Khenchen, Mustangi, the great scholar of Mustang abbot, called Lower Khenchen Sonam Lhundrub. So they too ordained him, Ngorchen Konchog Lhundrub. So likewise, we have people like lots of the Tibetans who received the first ordination from Shantarakshita. He gave everybody some small part of his name, like the first Sakyapa person to become ordained is one of the 7 Tibetans to be ordained. His name is Khön Luang Sung. Khön Luang Sungwa or Khön Luang Cho, because Shantarakshita's surname, Rakshita, is given to Khön Luang Sung. Khön Luang Cho, it should be Sung or Cho. Anyway, so those are, don't worry about that. Sorry, I forgot that you are all non-Tibetan speaking audience. Anyway, so names are, when you look at names like this, you can say, oh, which teacher? Oh, his ordination teacher, the Konchog, Ngorchen Konchog, something, Ngorchen Konchog, I think, Ngorchen Konchog Pel or something, Vardhana, and then Lower Khenchen, Sonam Lhundrub. So his name comes from Konchog Lhundrub, comes from his two teachers, and he is a very famous Sakya scholar. There's a good biography of him available on Google search. If you type Ngorchen Konchog Lhundrub, then you can read all about him. He's a very famous author in Sakya Tibetan Buddhist texts, for the benefit of those who are interested in this practice. So there you have it. So with this, we have now concluded the teaching on the sadhana of Dzambala, and thank you very much for everyone for giving your valuable 3 hours being here together. And now we're going to dedicate the merit from all of this. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh, by this merit, da defa pezagam me'ale bereda bevrade ashana padare zenede erenda mayana deje vadeva merera hegra peobe pegazeleveza trehoda mayana deje kareje manjujrenyode azama trabadadelawa followe ode zamba ajade de mere mede selem bodhichitta teba verena yedanza ver has been Pedengre Fele Vedade Generation Meda Prajavio Emdene Tebe Veranaya where has been bombed freely without generation.
Dear Rinpoche, thank you very much. Dear Rinpoche, could you please give the link oral transmission for Jambala practice and also for the mantra Jambala and practice of water offering to Jambala?
Well, water Dzambala is already, you don't need separate instruction. It's already there as I went through. But I can give the oral transmission of the sadhana, but there is no separate teaching or practice oral transmission of Dzambala water offering. So we went through that already. But yes, I will just do the oral transmission of the lung of the Dzambala sadhana. Namaya laike dan lo den jenge tugun da da me gen nan ro ku yidana tamje godo da ge chodo do swati Dzambala servo comprende be kamro semji chidan tumre che range ninga nozo be me dewan da jingro ye uzun zami ser zoma doje tele zeje be luji chena dan je de ce toma me bana sa be de tamje na mingi lu tongba ni do jo mo sumba wa shi do sarwa da ma sumba wa ji do tongbe ngan zami yo so je be la rani Papan Dzambala Kondo Serva Shaji Chanyiva Chayan Benza Purakada Yun Rinpoche Chan Bebe Niulin Zimba Shab Nyingi Dongdang Peme Tere Nemba Upalangomba Tingwada Rinpoche Yen Dan Te Chao Om Rinpara Tuko Hong Le Zedriban Zame Seba Tele Zedriban Rajinin Sanje Dan Chanchu Semba Dzambala Nambe Om Number Om Benza Saman Zaomba Layan Hotribe Wangelaringan Kodaja Om Benza Samanzo Om Abi Kenzo to Mam Sarvata Dangada Shea Sowata Be Sanje Namji Om Bajrimba Abi Shinza Shea Soyi Bimbi Chuchi Angu Gon Rima Chulama Ya Lubal Rinjin Junde Zori Kibe Dijin Shikbe Ringe Origin Tuken Zamik Ngandik Ngandenge Korwa Sam Dejin Kui Shashie Tamjele Rinpoche Cham Beba Rangi Negan Tamje Kenshi Semjen Tamjele Semjen Tamjele Ubange Donga Tamje Sarachena Om Dzambala Zalandraya Sowa Shechi Nundela Denam Rangla Demde Gewandi Gezango Chujin Chebrandebe Nuji Nando Pendan Zamile Dzambala Konda Yela Shizuzu Kijin Kongi Nga Yada Zajiji Chu Pu Aryan Dzambala Saparevara Agam Soji Chu Nurji Onjiri Denga Nujin Nonjamo Bokuni Chancho Juan Gombon Dzambala Ngoju Chodanole Jashi Chatsalo Shebe Du Dzambala Siddhi Pala Ho. So Dzambala Siddhi Pala Ho is the actual mantra you recite and then dip the water on your tongue after you have finished offering to the Dzambala as explained. Ngudruye Samba Chu Ngudruye Sambe Chu Jungse Jedo Du Shala. So after you finish, always take little water on your tongue. Dunji Shiba She Tanzi Barangla Duo Jena Jen Duo Jena Chibran De Na Chingela Dagi Kongshinja Chun Sun Bunga Dagi Chudu Torma Agaranga Yeda Debacha Lomana Lome Mendra Putuzu Aji Gozu Gunan Jun Jusha Tuzu Sanya Damjingo Lamadan Dzambala Jesna Wazadu Jesumwa Deva Nezum Danga Yengage the Jebra Dim, the Jesun Devalanzum, the Jumden Dala saw the Jumden Dilla saw the Dam Jevachin, the Jingila, Drani, Zovachin, Zovo Chitra saw, Dra, Jechu, Jebe, Shiva, Shizu, Tamzeba, Trashiva, Sheba, Dean, Tunda, Nirvanga, Pembejo, the Sakya Gelon, Konchog Lhundrub, Jarba, Gavandi, and Yoda, Lama Sanji, Drujin, and Raji Yamal. Te zala ngawa yano yawan jirin jendanga yino jino jama buku yi ngudu chozo nole ngudu chanchon zan zamba ngudu chozo nole trashi shio minyo lambo kuyi trashi yala tushi sungi Taradondo tuji jaye jewe gusum tuji jaye lula ne chugusum je jaye ngala denusum je jaye samla labasum gula konjo sum je jaye yo dembe be jola me jebe ne dene jiwo sadan yon la yo dembe je nga danjo demba yurine be jaje jo. So with this we have now concluded the lung, a transmission of the sadhana and the water offering to Dzambala. May you always remain very contented and grateful through the blessings of this practice of Jambala. Thank you very much, everyone. And that's all we have time, and the activities temporarily will conclude here. I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.